Of the many great powers that rivaled the United Federation of Planets during its first few centuries, there are few that were as mysterious or as dangerous as the Romulan Star Empire. This ancient, deeply paranoid empire was a ruthless and cunning opponent in war, and in terms of military technology, it was one of the most advanced powers in the region, with a fleet of huge starships that were more than a match for leading ships of many of the Romulans' rivals. When we think of Romulan military starships, we commonly think of the Valdore-class Warbird, seen throughout the 24th century and in the Dominion War. However, in the late 24th century, the Valdore-Type Warbird was seemingly developed as a new type of warship for the interstellar power. It was a smaller ship by the Romulan standards of the time, but nonetheless dwarfed most Federation and Klingon vessels. In this video, we'll be examining this fearsome starship in detail. Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host, Captain Jack. If you want to keep up to date on the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates on the Star Trek universe. Now, we're enjoying making these Star Trek videos on various topics, and we hope you are too. If you do want to support their development, please join our Patreon via the link below. You'll get exclusive access to videos and events, as well as more Galaxy-class rewards. While you're watching this video, comment what you would name a Romulan Warbird if you were to command one. Okay, engage. Star Trek Online is celebrating its 16th anniversary, which is just in time for the 60th anniversary of the entire Star Trek franchise. Thanks to Cryptic Studios and our games for sponsoring this video, Trek Central can tell you all about the Enterprise bundle that is out now in the game, as well as Star Trek Online's game content. Get ready to celebrate in style, as the Star Trek Enterprise bundle represents the first starships of when humanity took its first steps into the final frontier. These are the MP Miracle Worker Light Escort and the MV Multi-Mission Temporal Cruiser. However, the bundle exclusive items are the NX Escort refit with an exclusive Drexler visual variant, along with a 2151 Starfleet environmental suit, a Mako phase pistol, and an Andorian plasma rifle. Oh, and also, there is a Xindi Primate Dreadnought Cruiser as seen in Star Trek Enterprise. Additionally, the bundle does include the Andorian Kumari Pilot Light Battlecruiser and the Vulcan Sarok Intel Science Destroyer. The Enterprise bundle ships also include bonus visual variants for players to use in-game. These give the starship special 24th and 25th century skins to fit into Star Trek Online's present-day storyline. The Enterprise bundle is in-game now, but which starship will you be commanding? Star Trek Online allows players to explore the legendary Star Trek universe from within. Players can chart their own destiny as captain of a Federation starship, champion the Empire through the far reaches of the galaxy as a Klingon warrior, rebuild the Romulan legacy as a commander of a Romulan Republic warbird, or carry out daring missions on behalf of the Dominion as a Jem'Hadar soldier. Explore iconic locations, encounter famous species, and boldly explore the final frontier. In the 16 years the Star Trek MMORPG has been running, it has welcomed dozens of original Star Trek cast members. These include Kate Mulgrew as Catherine Janeway, Gates McFadden as Beverly Crusher, Jerry Ryan as Seven of Nine, and many, many more. Star Trek Online has also explored many eras of the universe, including Enterprise, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, The Next Generation, and even new shows like Strange New Worlds, Discovery, and Picard, plus many more. You can command a vast fleet of starships from a variety of different factions. Personally, I like taking the Odyssey-class USS Enterprise F out for a spin. It's a big year for Star Trek Online, with the game celebrating its 16th anniversary. So are you ready to take command? Star Trek Online is free to play, and use the link in our video description to start your journey today. We'll see you in game, make it so. The Valdore-Type Warbird, known in some expanded media stories as a Magai-class Warbird, was a state-of-the-art capital ship developed for the Romulan Imperial Fleet. It was introduced in 2379, after the end of the Dominion War, and it may have been developed in response to the new flagship classes the Federation and the Klingon Empire had developed, notably the Sovereign and the Negvar classes. The Valdore was intended to serve as a heavy warbird, like the older Valdore-class Warbird, but with improved maneuverability and a smaller, more efficient design. The Valdore-type Warbird was over 604 meters long and had a wingspan of over 900 meters, making it considerably smaller than the older Valdore-class Warbird, but still much larger than most Federation ships. In keeping with classic Romulan design principles, the Valdore had an aggressive design that resembled a bird of prey swooping in for the kill, with broad, slightly downswept and forward-angled wings, flanking a thicker central module that extended far ahead of the wings and terminated in a sharp, downward-facing head. The neck section of Valdore had a large gap in it, while the wings had a similar but less distinctive gap along their undersides. Valdore actually had two sets of wings, the main wings, and then a much smaller, thinner set directly beneath them, which was separated from the wings by a thin gap. The upper wings featured a distinctive feather-like plating pattern, and the hull of the Valdore-class Warbirds were typically painted a deep green or dark brown. Usually, the Valdore-class Warbird had a pair of warp nacelles, both located towards the end of the wings. The main warp nacelles were needle-like and extremely long, and they were suspended from the underside of the lower wings, not far from the wingtips. While the secondary nacelles were much smaller, bullet-shaped, and located at the wingtips, where the upper and lower wings met. Neither set of nacelles had visible buzzard collectors, though there were several structures at the base of the wings that could have served this purpose. Both sets of nacelles were state-of-the-art, designed to eliminate flaws in the D-Deredex-class Warbird's warp systems, which produced a slight subspace variance of warp 6 and above, which could give away the Warbird's position when it was travelling at warp under cloak. The Romulans were able to design a set of warp nacelles that didn't have this flaw, allowing the Valdore to travel at warp under cloak without being detected, but this came at the cost of speed. Therefore, the Valdore was designed with two sets of warp nacelles. The larger, more powerful main pair could reach higher speeds and was used when stealth wasn't really an issue. When the Valdore's cloaking device was engaged, the main nacelles would be shut off and the secondary nacelles would be used instead. The top speed of both warp systems is unknown, but the main warp system could probably match or exceed the D-Deredex's maximum observed speed of warp 9. The Valdore also had a singular impulse engine, which was located at the aft end of the Warbird's body section. This engine was apparently pretty powerful, as the Valdore was a rather agile ship, especially when compared to the sluggish D-Deredex. The Valdore's powerful engines and relatively small size and mass compared to its larger cousin made it faster and much more maneuverable, able to fly in circles around similarly large warships in battle. This improved agility was one of the Valdore's biggest strengths, allowing it to fight like a bird of prey despite its much greater size. The Valdore's crewed decks were concentrated in a central module of the ship and atop the bases of the wings. The base of the wings and the aft portion of the central module made up the Warbird's engineering section, while the command decks, including the main bridge, were located at the forward end of the ship in the Warbird's head. According to expanded media sources, the ship had a crew of 900 personnel. The bridge of the Valdore had an unusually Starfleet-esque layout. The commander sat in a command chair behind a freestanding console at the centre of the room, flanked by several crew stations. Additional crew stations and computer banks lined the back of the room, while an oval-shaped view screen dominated the forward bulkhead. The Valdore-class Warbird was equipped with formidable deflector shields, although these were apparently weaker than those of the Federation's Sovereign-class starships, and it would also carry a Romulan cloaking device. This device rendered the Warbird completely invisible to sensors and the naked eye alike, and due to the Valdore-class's dual warp nacelle system, it rendered the Valdore completely undetectable. The Valdore did have to decloak to fire its weapons, but its cloaking device nonetheless gave it a significant advantage in combat, allowing it to get the drop on unsuspecting targets. The Valdore was also extremely well armed, bristling with disruptors and photon torpedo launchers. In total, it boasted 12 disruptor banks and 6 photon torpedo launchers, with the disruptors concentrated along the wings and the photon torpedo launchers housed in the ship's central module. Each torpedo launcher could fire a volley of up to 4 photon torpedoes at a time, allowing the Valdore to inflict extensive damage on enemy vessels. According to the free-to-play MMORPG, Star Trek Online, the Romulans also developed an even more heavily armed variant of this ship. In Star Trek Online, this upgraded variant was the Valdore class, while the base variant was the Magai class. This type of warbird had thicker, more downswept wings, a single pair of claw-shaped nacelles, and wingtip weapon mounts. It was more heavily armed and boasted stronger shields, making it even tougher than the base variant in combat. The Valdore-Type Warbird was essentially a more compact and agile version of a D-Deredex-class Warbird, combining immense firepower with speed, maneuverability, and improved stealth. Its cloaking device gave it the element of surprise, while its agility and firepower made it more than a match for most starships, making the Valdore one of the most formidable ships in the Imperial Romulan fleet. However, the Valdore-Type was quite rare. It was introduced only in 2379, a mere 8 years before the Romulan star system was destroyed by a supernova, crippling the Romulan star empire and most likely halting production of the class. The only named ship of the class was the Valdore itself, commanded by Commander Denatra. The Valdore, alongside an unnamed sister ship, played a vital role in the Battle of the Basin Rift in 2379, helping the Sovereign-class USS Enterprise E against the upstart Praetor Shinzon, whom Denatra feared would destabilize the Romulan Star Empire by starting a war with the Federation. While originally assisting Shinzon in his coup of the Romulan Star Empire, Denatra later switched sides and intended to help the Federation, claiming the Romulan issues were an internal matter. She took with Valdore and another Warbird to intercept Shinzon. While hailing Captain Picard, they both say they'll need a drink of Romulan ale after the events of the crisis are over. The Enterprise E and the two Valdore-Type Warbirds proceed to engage Shinzon's flagship, the Scimitar, but make little progress. Shinzon, on the other hand, is able to disable the additional flanking Warbird. The Archer's Valdore-Type makes a strafing run on the Scimitar, but does fall into a trap. Shinzon orders the partial decloaking of the Scimitar and for the vessel to come to a full stop, therefore making it appear the vessel has sustained damage. This lures the Archer and her ship into the trap. As the Valdore closes in, Shinzon fires all his weapons, disabling the Valdore and critically damaging it. As the Enterprise E also takes damage, Archer hails Picard to inform him that her ship is disabled, but she still has life support. Nonetheless, their assistance ultimately helped the Enterprise crew defeat Shinzon, and the Valdore dispatched medical personnel on shuttles to the Enterprise to attend to its crew in the aftermath of the battle. In Star Trek Lower Decks, we see a Valdore-type Warbird during Brad Boimler's holonovel Crisis Point 2 Paradoxus. Unlike the actual Valdore-type design, this holodeck version features a large vertical fin mounted on the tail. Currently, these are the only two times we've seen the Valdore-type in action within the Star Trek universe. It is possible that due to the destruction of the Romulan Star Empire, these ships never went into full-blown production. By the 2390s, the Romulan Free State and the Tal Shiar are using different designs for Warbirds for their fleets, with no Valdore-types in sight. Like many other iconic Star Trek starships, the Valdore was designed by concept illustrator John Eaves for Star Trek Nemesis, the last of the Next Generation films. While the Valdore and its sister ship were only identified as Romulan Warbirds in the movie's script, and could have been depicted as D-Deredex-class Warbirds, the producers wanted to see a new kind of Romulan Warbird, and so the Valdore-type was born. John Eaves actually based his design for the Valdore on the Klingon bird of prey, reasoning that the production designers on Star Trek 3 had considered the bird of prey to be based on Romulan designs. His new Romulan Warbird became sort of a hybrid between the bird of prey and the D-Deredex, combining the cowled bow shape and colour scheme from the D-Deredex with the oval silhouette that resembled a bird of prey. While all of Eaves' early concepts gave the craft an angular, aggressive appearance, they differed on the orientation of the wings, with one having its wings be upswept rather than downswept. Ultimately, one of Johnny's designs was chosen by the producers, and he set to work refining it, adding the distinctive feather pattern to the Warbird's wings and moving the secondary warp nacelles from the belly of the starship to the wingtips. Once the design was complete, a CGI model of the Valdore was created by VFX artist Andy Wilkoff at Digital Domain. The bridge of the Valdore, meanwhile, was a redress of the Enterprise E bridge set, albeit a very extensive one. The set was repainted, recarpeted, and gutted to make it as distinct from the Enterprise bridge as possible. But because the rough platform the set was built on was the same, the two bridges still had roughly the same layout. Many parts of the bridge set were lifted from previous Star Trek productions. For example, the bridge chair and some of the computer consoles were recycled from the Klingon bird of prey. The view screen was reused from the Sonar flagship from Star Trek Insurrection. The crew chairs were taken from a set of Star Trek Voyager, and a Cardassian computer console was repurposed as a command console. As mentioned before, Star Trek Online calls the Valdore-type Warbird the Magai class, after the man-sized predatory bird native to Romulus. The Star Trek Titan series of novels also refers to the ship class by the same name. However, the Star Trek customizable card game refers to the Valdore-type as the Norexan class. So that's our look at the Valdore-type Warbird, one of the sleekest and deadliest Romulan vessels ever made. As previously mentioned, you can support the development of Trek Central's YouTube videos. Please join our Patreon via the link below. You'll get exclusive access to videos and events, as well as more Galaxy-class rewards. If you want to keep up to date on the latest Star Trek news, lore, and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. For now, I've been Captain Jack, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Live long and prosper, my friends. Goodbye.